In this episode of the Holo Help Podcast, Trevor sits down with Alex as they simulate another coaching conversation where Trevor talks with Ted, a client who's looking to lose 10 pounds. Specifically, they're going to dive into nutrition and what Ted's going to start doing today. Hope you enjoy. Alex, we're back with another Holo Help Podcast, my man. Last one, actually, I don't know. Are you Ted or Alex? Can you tell me to start?
I'll be Alex right now, but I cannot wait to morph into Ted.
Yeah, that's your alter ego. Listeners, if you did not have a chance to check out the previous episode, we would encourage you to do that. Pause this one, go back and listen to the last one, because what we did and decided is to do a two-part series where I, myself, Trevor, I'm going to be the coach, and I'm going to have the coaching conversation, which is the initial consultation. This is the first conversation we have with our one-on-one clients. And I'm actually having the conversation with Alex, who's pretending to be a client, whose name is Ted. Ted has a goal of losing 10 pounds. And in the first episode, we talked about movement and how movement will be a part of his goal in funny enough, moving towards his ultimate goal of losing 10 pounds and liking what he sees in the mirror. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about nutrition, okay? Only nutrition. That's what we're talking about. We're going to dive into that coaching dialogue. And then what we're going to do is kind of pause that conversation, zoom out a little bit. Alex and I may riff on a few different things, zoom back in and finish up the conversation. So we hope you enjoy this on Lean In, especially if you're looking to lose 10 pounds and you're curious what to do nutritionally. Alex, anything to share before we dive in?
Yeah, I mean, the only caveat I would add is this is one slice of the pie, that when we're helping people become truly healthy, nutrition is one very, very important slice. It's not the only slice. Obviously, one of our core pillars here is health is holistic, but the nutrition, the foods we eat, has a major role, not just on our body, but on our mind and our soul. So just because we focus in here is not just the only thing, it's just a snippet of what we do with our clients and helping finding freedom in all areas. So this is just that. I just would add that little caveat.
Yeah, 100%. Our coaching model is focused on helping people understand the way God designed it, while liking what they see in the mirror and loving the inner peace that they feel. And we've got a lot of things that are more than just diet and exercise when it comes to becoming truly healthy in the coaching material. But again, today's conversation is specifically on nutrition. Ready to go, Ted?
Ted's back, baby.
Cool.
Can't wait.
Ted, loved all the conversation and thoughts around exercise and physical activity, just looking at movement and how that's going to be part of your plan. Like I mentioned to you, I'm going to put all this in an email that sums up exactly what we're going to start doing today. So as we're diving into the next piece, I told you that we would talk about nutrition today as well. And so I want to dive into that because in your intake form, you shared a little bit that you kind of understand, the food composition, but ultimately that it wasn't really something that you cared too much about and given much attention to. You could kind of eat whatever you wanted to. And then I think you said in the form, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you just kind of looked up and don't know how you gained all the weight. So you put a little bit more context to the nutrition piece. What are some things that you've tried in the past, and are there any things that you don't want to try or didn't enjoy?
Yeah. Trevor, you pretty much hit the nail on the head that I haven't really thought much about nutrition because I really didn't have to for the greater part of my life. But then as just life got busy, especially with kids, it just gets a lot harder because things pick up. So as far as what I've done in the past, I've tried most of the mainline diets, and it lasts a few weeks, a month at most, and I'll probably lose 5-6 pounds at best, but that's all through willpower. It's all through just trying really, really hard. And then I just, to be honest, it just gets hard and time consuming. And I just kind of just not do it, because I'm like, I can't continue this meal prepping, or I can't continue logging my macros every single day. Like I have a million things that's going on. So, I mean, I feel like I eat relatively clean. I just don't really have a plan. My kids are constantly going everywhere. They like this, and this kid doesn't like that. So I feel like I'm constantly around foods that I just might munch here. So I just don't. I'm just not. It's not structured. It's all over the place. So I mean, yeah,
Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that paints a pretty clear picture to me. Ted, one of the things that we are going to work on is understanding nutrition. If I were to ask you if you think nutrition is complicated, you probably say yes. And that's because of the way that it's painted, the misinformation. You've got party A over here saying one thing, party B saying a different thing, party C not even talking about it, but trying to get your attention. And so we're just going to get down to the nitty gritty on what moves the needle when it comes to nutrition in terms of weight loss, but also to help you feel good. That's something that you mentioned in terms of your goal. You're like, I want to like actually look and feel good. After
yeah,
you talked about the number on the scale and getting that 10 pounds lost, you wanted to feel good. That was something that you said, you articulated. So we're going to do all that through nutrition. Nutrition is going to be one of the places that I'm going to need you to work with me on the most. Okay. It seems like you had a good grasp on the exercise piece. That's not going to be, maybe the most challenging or most friction focused area in all of our plan that we're working together. But I'm going to need you to lean into the coaching aspect of this nutrition, because I'm going to take you where you want to go, but you need to trust that I'm going to do that. Does that sound good?
yeah.
Cool. And so part of as we go in this coaching, especially when it comes to nutrition, there's an education piece. Okay. I'm not going to inundate you with a bunch of material because I know you're not going to read it if I just give you a bunch of stuff. But I'm going to piece by piece, as we start to stretch out the goal and things that we're focusing on, we're going to learn more information that makes nutrition simple and clear. Okay. Even in the middle of a busy lifestyle with young kids and work going really well, like you mentioned. So when it comes to nutrition, the primary focus that we are going to give our attention to start is to eat more real foods. And when I say real foods, I want you to think perimeter of the grocery store, fresh fruits and vegetables, lean meats, nuts and seeds, things like you find in nature. Okay, we talk about God's design of health. God created these things for us to enjoy, not only to enjoy, but to sustain us for our daily rhythms. So we're gonna start to do that. And because you have tried all the fad diets based on what it sounds like, we're actually gonna start really small. And we're gonna start maybe so small that you think it's insignificant. We're gonna focus on just eating one whole clean real meal a day. We're just gonna focus on one. And you get to make that decision on which one it's going to be. We're gonna do that together here on the phone, but we're just going to start with one of those, and then we're going to focus on incorporating one nutrient dense snack that is made up of, again, these real foods. So
So Trevor, I hate to. I just want to make sure because I get the education part and because I feel like I understand and know most healthy foods. So um, I mean when I was when I was kind of dialed in a little bit, I was pretty much eating like chicken and rice and salads for lunch, and um, wasn't really eating breakfast. And I would really only eat a lunch and dinner, and I probably would like not do the carb part. I probably wouldn't eat rice or chips or breads, and I pretty much would just have chicken rice and maybe like some I don't know green beans or something, and then I'd have like steak and salad for dinner. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Like just those, you said like perimeter foods or something?
so some of those foods that you mentioned are definitely included in there. But the whole idea, especially around nutrition, but overall true health, is we're trying to build sustainable habits. It sounds like for a short time you were intermittent fasting or trying some version of that where you're not eating breakfast and eating a couple of meals. But obviously that wasn't sustainable for you
Well, I
because
just am not really that hungry to be honest. Like I just I'm so busy in the mornings getting kid out the door and I got emails going, so I just kind of forget to eat breakfast and then I'm like, oh, I should probably eat lunch and dinner. So I mean, I just got to squeak it in when I can. But I'm not really hungry for breakfast.
so there is a difference in nourishing your body with foods that give it energy to prepare for the day and eating a full meal. If you're like genuinely not super hungry in the mornings, that's okay. But we still need to give the body some nutrients. The body needs that to function at a proper level, to have the energy that you want to feel, and to start seeing changes in the mirror. But one of the most important things when it comes to enjoying a meal or a snack and trying to have balance with that is when we miss a meal, we tend to overeat at one of the other meals. So
Hmm.
it doesn't necessarily matter if you don't eat, and it's not like those calories or the contents of the food don't exist or can't be made up somewhere else. What I've seen time and time again from clients is they intermittent fast or they skip breakfast intentionally only to overeat, usually their dinner meal. And so they're eating too much food, which again, that's going to make you gain weight, right? Calories in versus calories out. So I want us to loosen the grip a little bit on some of the things that we've tried in the past when it comes to nutrition. And we're going to take a step and try some different things. Like I said, I need you to trust me on that approach. Now, again, I'm not going to make you do something that you don't want to do, but I want us to come to a position where we're on the same page, see the value or the importance of something, and then make a decision together to start moving forward in terms of what we implement nutritionally.
So what does that look like? Because you said I'm just going to eat one meal a day that's like pretty healthy, and I'm assuming like some salads and chicken and stuff. Like what am I doing?
That's a great question. So the meals are going to be really based up to what you want it to be. But I have all of this information in your new member packet. Your new member packet is going to be delivered immediately when you get your plan. Okay. In the plan, it's going to articulate your 1 to 2, maybe 3 goals for this week. They're going to be simple. We're going to try to get after it. Okay. But in the new member packet, it's going to have an outline for this guide on this nutrition approach, how to build a plate that is made up of whole, clean, real foods. Inside of that guide, it's going to have foods, examples of foods like proteins, examples of foods like fruits and veggies, examples of foods that are whole grains or starches. Additionally, we've got 40 workouts and 40 recipes. So I'm going to give you all of the material for you and all of the options for you to choose from. You can have steak and salad if you want to, but you have to ask yourself, is this something I can do all the time? Some people can eat the same thing every day. I don't, because I like some variance. I like trying different foods. Food can be and should be something that you enjoy. So I hope that helps answer your question, but I'm going to deliver you all of the information like I talked about so that you have an understanding, a clear understanding nutritionally. Okay, what is a meal? What is a balanced meal? How do I make that? My
Yeah,
suggestion always,
yeah.
if you don't choose a recipe that falls into that category, is to choose a protein source, is to choose a fruit and or a vegetable, and to choose a whole grain. And you put them in there together. So you've got
So are
some.
you going to be telling me like everything to eat? Like you'll tell me lunch and dinner, and you'll give me all that stuff, like meal plan stuff.
So not writing a meal plan. We're following a nutrition approach. Okay. So I'm not telling you what to eat outside of this one whole clean real meal. This one meal that we are working on. Okay. I'm not even telling you what to eat for that meal. But the focus is we're starting small to build consistency on eating more nutrient dense foods. Okay.
You mean like small plates, like starting small, like eating a little bit?
Good clarifying question. I mean, starting small as in the goal, the effort
Oh,
to
okay.
build into
Okay.
something. We're not going to change all of your nutrition overnight. But what we can do is to implement small changes that over time we build upon to move towards the greater goal. That ultimately, because you're going to build some habits around these things, are going to reshift and realign your focus or thoughts when it comes to nutrition. And all of a sudden, it is simple. It's not complex anymore. Does that make sense? Does that help clarify?
All right, Whole Health listeners, we're doing a timeout. I am now Alex. Trevor, let's take a halftime commentary conversation about this conversation between Ted and Coach Trevor, and then we'll kind of jump back in and wrap up with just some practical tips. So, Trevor, obviously, there's a big misinformation piece with Ted that he's tried a bunch of things and he just is like a little confused on like what this is practically looking like. Um, I think I think you hit the nail on the head as far as like, hey, we're just gonna start very small. And I like how you like laughed at that question, like, wait, I'm just eating small meals because he honestly just doesn't know. Like he just was just like, okay, you're gonna tell me what to do or all this stuff. Um, Trevor, what would you highlight or take away from the call so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's evident that Alex is trying to grill me through Ted and making this super challenging. But it's okay because it's
Here's
super
the thing, I'm
relatable,
just
and
being realistic.
we've
I've
coached so many people that fall into this bucket just don't understand nutrition specifically, and that's what Ted is. That's where he's coming from, and
Well, the
so
pre the preconceived notions or assumptions with nutrition coaching is you're going to tell me what to do. Like you tell me what to eat and you give me what to eat and I'll just do it. But the difference, what Trevor you were trying to get the point across to Ted is like, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like you're going to make your own meal, but we're going to build these habits so you don't have to depend on me anymore. And
Mhm.
that's why a nutrition coach comes into it because so many people are like, hey, tell me what to do, tell me what to do, tell me what to do, how much to eat, what macros to follow. And then that's not sustainable either because after they're done tracking or after they're done with a nutrition coach or a holo health coach, they're so dependent on the coach that they didn't like truly learn it themselves or build it into their sustainable rhythms. That's why we're like, hey, we're going to start small and we're going to give you in this new member packet how to actually do that, how to think, not just what to do, but we want to train your brain in how to think. Like you said, there's an education and information piece, which will translate into the application piece.
Exactly, and nutrition is one of the more let's just say complex things to work with a client on because there's a lot of noise that you have to get through. There's a lot of what I like to say is renewing of your mind when it comes to how you see and think about food and nutrition. And it's because of society, it's because of how you grew up. It could be some of
Yeah.
the trauma you've went through. So there's a lot of layers to it. It's not an it's something that you need to realize if you want to make a change. This is a big part of it, but it's going to take working with a coach. That's why I was telling Ted, hey, I want you to lean in into the coaching relationship. I've coached clients that honestly that they don't realize that I am here to support them. No matter how much,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
tell them that I'm here to make this as easy as it can be. But if the client isn't willing to kind of make it a two-way street, if that makes sense, then it's going to be more challenging. But Ted's obviously getting there, and we're about to start. So who knows? I'll tell you in 16 weeks if he was hard to work with or not. I'm kidding. Um, but I think we should zoom back in here
Okay.
and really try to round home with Ted. But this is a good conversation. Really, again, Ted doesn't know where, and we'll recap it on the backside of it.
Yeah.
But
Trevor, the last thing I would add, as far as before we zoom back in and then let's finish it up, is a truly healthy life, the holo health approach. What Trevor's ultimately trying to get to put across to Ted is that let's focus on the main things. Let's not focus on the peripheral. Let's look at the core. And when it comes to nutrition, if at least 80% of our foods are not from what we say whole, clean, real foods. And Trevor, that's just common language for us. Like we say whole, clean, real foods. But for the average everyday goer who's not in the nutrition world, it's like, I don't even know what you mean by whole, clean, real foods. It's like when we build our plate with with produce, protein, and a little starch with the protein plate method that Trevor's going to get into, just kind of like as we start. That's what we're going to do. So we're not going to major on intermittent fasting or these supplements or timing of the meals. Let's just focus on building the habits of the main things. Let's put the foods on our plate that God designed, the primers of the grocery store. And when we do that consistently, then we can talk about quantity, timing, supplements, all the extra miscellaneous stuff. But the first step is quality, 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 quality. And I'm kind of like giving you a softball pitch as we go into this application. part of Ted's conversation, but let's major on the main things. That's the simplest way we can make nutrition.
Ted, I love that you can get some small plates if you want to, but again, our focus is really building habits, like we talked about in our initial call that we had when you were interested in whole health coaching and true health coaching. We're trying to build a plan that helps you build habits to where you don't need coaching. We're trying to help you build habits that take health and create a sustainable rhythm for the rest of your life. So you've been trying these diets and they're not working. So we're going to get to the core of the core root of nutrition, which is going to be eating more real foods, foods that God designed, the foods that I just described to you. In terms of practically what that can look like, again, in your new member packet, I've got an approach that we call the protein plate method that you can look through, and it literally tells you line by line how to build a plate that is made up of real foods, the foods that we're talking about, edges at the grocery store, protein, produce, fruit, whole grain starches. Does that help answer that question in terms of like practically how you're going to be implementing this?
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's a guide telling me exactly what to do, I just, I mean, I feel like I know what real foods are. You're saying like these real foods on the edge of the perimeter of a grocery store, but like, I mean, um, one of the things I was thinking about is like I don't really struggle with the meals. Like you tell me what to do, I think that's great. But what gets me is the snacking. The snacking and like the bedtime snacking of like I'll just eat a whole bag of Doritos or I love my Oreos and I mean whatever it is, but like whatever's in the house, whatever the kids bring home, like I'm just gonna eat it. And I think that's what gets me. So I like starting small and just focusing on these foods. And I feel like I mean, I trust you. You've done this and whatever, but um should I just like stop eating snacks or what like should I just eat like carrots or something? Like I don't know what to do about the snack portion.
Yeah, and that's a fair question as well. So a lot of the reason to get to the core before I address that specifically, that you're snacking is because you're missing a meal. Your body, your hunger cues are being plugged in at different times of the day because of something that wasn't consumed earlier in the day. And to make up for it, you're gravitating towards generally one of the first things that are around you, your kids' food, the snacks in the cupboard, whatever it might be.
Mm,
So that's some context in why you are choosing to snack. More than likely, that is the reason in which you're choosing to snack. In terms of snacking in general, there's nothing wrong with having snacks. The encouragement that I want us to focus on is at least one of those snacks throughout the day needs to be also made up of real foods. And again, just like I mentioned, where I've got examples of meals, I also have examples of snacks that you can go to. One of the easiest things that we can do is to include nutrient dense foods when it comes to snacks, foods that fill you up and also nourish your body. So they're going to fill you up, nourish your body. And when I say nourish your body, give you the energy you need and help you kind of moving towards the ultimate goal, right? We're trying to lose the 10 pounds and feel better energy wise. So that's the context of snacking. So part of the nutrition goal, there's two pieces to it. There's two habits we're looking to build. One is going to be focused on eating one meal that is made up of whole, clean, real foods. Again, that meal should look like the protein plate method in that guide that I'm going to give you. You said if you can follow the guide, Ted, not Alex, Ted, if you follow the guide to a T, then you will eat a real meal. Okay, that one meal will be exactly what a real meal is. The second goal that we're going to look on building is to eat one snack that is made up of nutrient dense foods. Again, I'm going to provide a list for you, and we're going to start right there. But the focal point is going to be trying to build these habits and rhythms into the day. What's going to happen, whether you realize it or not, I'm not here to trick you. I'm here to point something out. You're going to focus on trying to eat these foods. Because of your efforts to try to incorporate these foods into one meal and one snack, naturally, it's going to happen throughout the day. Maybe it doesn't happen 3 times a day, but you're going to be more conscious about that decision because of the previous decision you made. I
mm,
always like to encourage breakfast to be the first meal that has some sort of nutrients. Maybe it isn't exactly the plate method approach, but it has a lot of nutrients in there because that's going to lead to healthier food choices later in the day, if that makes sense. So again, to repeat, the two things is we're going to have one meal that adheres to the plate method approach that I'm going to send you, and then one snack that is made up of nutrient dense foods. You can pull anything from that list that I send you just to make it super easy. Anything of that, it checks the box when it comes to it.
So I know you said I really only eat lunch and dinner. I'm missing a meal, but I'm only going to eat one meal. Like I'm only going to eat the one meal. Well, I'm confused on that part.
So if you eat 3 meals a day, one of those meals needs to follow the guidelines that we're talking about. The other
So
two
what do I do about
meals,
the other two?
the other 2 meals you can do what you like to. If you want them to follow these guidelines, that's great. But I want to see if you can have one meal in the next 7 days. If you can go 7 for 7 and having at least one meal in the day adhere to this approach. If
I
you
mean, I
can
feel
do
like that's
that,
really, yeah, I feel like that's super simple. I can definitely do that. Why wouldn't we do all 3 meals?
because I want you to prove to me that you can do 7, and then we'll take the next step from there. We're trying to get to the core root of the problem, which we've addressed is the quality of foods that you're consuming. Okay, we're going to get to the core root, and we're going to start with building a habit. We're going to start in the
Okay.
context of that habit with a small move towards that. We're not opening the can and just going jumping right out the gate. Because if
Okay.
I tell you to get 21, let's say you ate 3 a day, 7 days a week, if I told you to eat 21 of those, you're not going to do that. Maybe you did it for 1 week, Ted. Maybe you could do it for 1. Maybe you could do it for 2, Ted. But past 2, there's no way you're doing it. Let's be honest. And so we're going to start with 1. The other 2 meals, again, you can eat what you would like to. But I'm almost willing to bet, because you're making a conscious decision somewhere about one of those meals, you're going to be conscious about the others. And if you do that, that's up to you. And you're going to share some information about those other meals in your intake form, in your check-in form, that comes in the email, and you're going to be able to submit that each week. If you hit 7 for 7, you know what? I'll even give you 6. If you hit 6 out of 7, we'll take a next step from there. But I want you to show me that you can hit at least 6 out of the 7, one meal a day, and the same goes for the snacks.
Okay, so I'm gonna do one meal and one healthy snack for the week. What else?
Nutritionally,
Yeah,
that's it. That's all we're
that's
starting
it.
with. That's all we're starting with.
Okay.
When you signed up for this coaching, Ted, you signed up for a longer period of time. This is not a short little 2-week or 4-week sprint. We are building rhythms and habits that are sustainable. Okay, health is holistic. So we're looking at nutrition, and we just talked about movement. Those are 2 key pieces. But they're just part of the pie. They're not the whole pie. They're going to help us start to reframe and move towards the goals that we have, all while learning God's design. We talked about that piece that we're going to talk about here in a moment as well. But in terms of nutrition, this is where we're starting. And believe
All right.
me, it's going to move us in the direction you want to go.
All right, Coach. I trust you. I'll do it.
Cool. Now let's talk about what you can expect in your email to come.
Hiya! And time out. Zoom
I,
out.
I had to kind of take that. Listeners, if you can't watch, I'll describe it. If you ever been to a rodeo and you see one of them cowboys out there and he's got to wrangle that bull, that's what I felt like I had to do right there with Alex.
Hey, that was Ted. That was not Alex. That was my alter ego. Um, Here's the thing. I know I was being a little bit more difficult. To be honest, Trevor, me and you have coached many people. Most people are not as difficult as Ted was there. But I wanted to give a more realistic challenge rather than just like, oh hey, we're gonna do this. Okay, this was good. Like I wanted to give more realistic than idealistic. But you hit the nail on the head that we're not looking to do a 30-day detox or lose 10 pounds in the 30 days. We're like, we need to unwind some of the things that you know and just build what you're doing for the first week. And then once you prove to me that you can do this, then we're going to slowly build on that. And that's why I think this is sustainable, because Trevor, you're going to help him do just that. So
Yeah.
I thought you absolutely crushed it.
Thanks, bro. Nutrition is one of my favorite things. I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to that. And listeners, I think, we've been doing this episode for about 30 minutes, so we're rounding third here. But one of the biggest takeaways is when you work with a whole health coach, we're going to look at every area. Okay. And if you got some sort of shame or frustration with your appearance or some goal oriented around your appearance, we're going to address the movement and the nutrition piece because that's part of your health. It impacts the other areas.
Big part,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a huge part, but it's not the only part. We're also going to look at how you're managing stress, which could come from those things. We're also going to look at how you're cultivating community, which could come in those things. We're also going to look at how you're spending time regularly with Jesus.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the whole pie. That's why this true health coaching methodology is just so different. And the clients we've gotten to walk through our coaching model with have really taken some of these rhythms and just run with it. It's awesome to see the way that they're thriving. I'm thinking of Ryan. I'm thinking of Chris. I'm thinking of Eric. It's so enriching to see the results. And we're just getting started. And so Ted finally came to that realization that we're trying to build habits here. And he started to understand the picture that we are really actually going to begin in a way that might seem so simple that it's not going to work. I'm curious if Ted next week is going to come back with 7 for 7 on his meals. I don't think he will. But anyways, when it comes to one-on-one coaching, that is one of the ways that we help people pursue God's design of health, pursue a truly healthy life. The other way is through the Holo Collective. Both of those are going to be linked below. If you like this coaching kind of dialogue and conversation, let us know either on social media or shoot us a text if you have our number or send us a DM. We'd be happy to continue conversations like this and unpacking specific things. It could be with Ted. It could be with Trevor being an alter ego. We'll save the name for later. But Alex, would you share anything as we kind of wrap up today's episode?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head that the reason we have true health coaching is we want to help people experience not only a truly healthy life, but the verbiage is to like what they see in the mirror and love the inner peace that they feel. What does that practically mean? That means that Ted wanted to lose 10 pounds, and that by focusing on movement and nutrition, we're going to help him get there. And he's going to like what he sees in the mirror. But also the movement and nutrition piece is going to impact how he feels inside. Because we specifically had that language of liking what you see in the mirror, external, and loving the inner peace that you feel, internal. That just because we're focusing on movement and nutrition, that doesn't just silo it to the external. That also plays to, like you said, how we feel and the energy that we have and the mental clarity and just our ability to love one another, because we are an embodied spirit. We're an embodied faith, that we're not just a body and a mind and a soul separately. Our nutrition and our movement impacts our mind and our soul. So that if we really do want to experience life to the full, or Jesus's way of life or his invitation, the nutrition movement are an important part of that. But then also the time that we're going to be coaching Ted on his time with Jesus and his stress levels and the relationships, that also impacts his body and how he carries weight and how much his body recovers or doesn't recover, or his hunger hormones. So that's what's different is about this approach is we just looked at one aspect, but we really are going to look at it all. So that was just one little sliver of what people can expect.
And maybe Holo Hope coaching is not in the cards for you right now, but maybe you still want to see changes in the mirror or make some of these healthier habits around movement and nutrition automatic. Well, we've got you covered. We created a plan builder guide that is going to save you so much wasted time. Honestly, if I had it earlier, it would have saved me at least a year of wasted time, because what it's going to do is help you build and craft a plan that is specific to you on how you can improve your movement and nutrition habits. You can get it by clicking the link below or by going to holohealth.com/plan builder. Again, it's holohealth.com/plan builder to grab that guide and start building a plan that you can implement today. Listeners, we're so thankful for you. Keep trucking, keep on going, and remember,
You're a legend.